Hello, I'm Jack Rickard, and this is Electric Vehicle Television. I'm here with my compadre and consigliere, El Breno Noto.
Here we are, again.
We're now the head of a genre.
We are. That's right. We are a genre.
Although Harbor hasn't showed up yet.
No.
Maybe next month. Hutch has got to go.
Oh, maybe a next month video.
But I actually did a thing on the blog this week about this, and it caused me some curiosity and a tale to tell. EVTV did not precisely invent the video documentary of electric vehicles.
Truth be told.
We did it very, very differently. We didn't show up in the same shirts and shit as the guy who did.
That's right.
But I would recognize the father of the genre as Gavin Shoebridge of New Plymouth, New Zealand.
That's right.
And he kind of shaped my early thinking about electric vehicles. Gavin made them from washing machine parts and stuff. And he was a very thrifty gent, and it got him into kind of a mess from which he's never really emerged.
He hasn't really recuperated.
But he started doing a series of videos called Gav's EV. Mm-hmm. And he bought him a 1987 Mitsubishi Tertia.
Okay.
For $180, cash money, hard come by.
All right. That must have been a prize.
And he, with a locked up engine, seized engine.
Oh, seized engine. Oh, man.
And he started converting it to electric drive. And he made whatever he could and bought what he had to. Did most of his research just online, the DIY electric junk guys and the endless fear, that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
The online things. And then he made him an electric car. And I liked that. And I liked his videos. I watched most of them. And he's a very personable young man.
Yeah.
Kind of dapper and very young and so forth.
Okay, this is the day.
The moment. We're on our way to pick up the Mitsubishi CHAdeMO, which is
dead.
It's dead. It's got a seized motor, so I'm going to go and pick that up. We're going to tow it back. Rob's going to be our tow driver. Hello.
He's very frightened.
He's terrified. It should be good fun. And yeah.
Alright everyone, this is it. That's the dead car there. And we are going to tow it right into our house in Brooklands now. And this is the start to a cleaner, greener New Zealand. Okay, the progress continues. We are at our first stop. We have about 3.5 km to go. And a few hills and down and up of the hills in front of us, so that should be entertaining, especially if the car doesn't have very strong brakes. Not this car, but that CHAdeMO. So
the wipers work. That's a good sign.
yes, the wipers work. Gavin found an old battery somewhere by the rubbish bin, so he charged it up and put it in that car, so the indicators and all that still works, and it gives the brakes a little bit more power, so it's a little bit safer. The real challenge will be to actually put it in our garage at home, because there is a very steep hill coming into our garage, so that should be entertaining. We'll have to push the car probably.
We're on our way home. The Mitsubishi CHAdeMO is dead. It's got a seized engine, but we're almost home. I'm going to put it in the garage and start converting it to electricity. Long road ahead, and we're under tow at the moment. We're almost home.
We are now just coming up to our house, so yay! We have done it!
one hell of a crack. That was one hell of a crack. I don't know what that was.
I was trying to release and put the handbrake down at the same time.
Oh, right. You want a hand? There's a Mitsubishi Dedier. We picked a pretty crappy day to tow it, but there we are. That is it. Seized gas engine. Start my EV conversion.
Laurel is still in one piece. That's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah. The Nissan's still good. Very good. Still good.
Here we go. It's going up the driveway now.
I don't think this is going to work. Even with both of us pushing, I don't think we're going to get it up there. Look, we'll have a go. I'm going to need you to sit on the brake.
What?
Come on. Unfortunately, this is as far as we've got it up the drive. It's a lot steeper than it looks. I need a group of 10 people or so to get it up the drive. It's an internal combustion engine that shat itself. You can tell by the rusty water everywhere. The engine apparently seized. So the gearbox is still good though. And the rest of the car is pretty good. A couple of rust spots, but nothing I can't fix.
What happened? Well, what happened was he got the car built and he licensed it and he drove it. And then the next year, it had to go for a road inspection.
Okay. Okay.
And they determined that it had a rusted frame.
All right.
And it was banned from the road until he could get the frame repaired or rust ameliorated.
Unsafe at any speed.
Which was more expensive than all his expenses on the car thus far.
Uh-oh.
So here he has his EV. He's charging it out the kitchen window.
Extension cord
plugged in next to the garbage disposal or something.
That's under the sink.
It was all pretty much ad hoc type stuff. But, yeah, I came to admire him. But then they wouldn't let him drive his car because it was junk.
Uh-oh.
And that was when we formed the opinion, which I've cited many times, that if you take a junk car, because it's inexpensive, so you're not risking much,
Sure.
and then spend $20,000 on electric car components, one piece at a time, in the end, you have a really smooth, quiet, and efficiently operating junk car, which is not really what you want.
No.
But I did not learn that firsthand.
Yeah, only by Gavin's experience.
I learned that vicariously by watching Gavin Shoebridge. He sold his car to a guy who was going to build an electric car for less than the cost of the components in it.
Oh, no. Oh.
And the guy harvested the components
I
out of the Mitsubishi and put it in his car. And along the way, Gavin got where he'd go to other people's houses and talk to them about their builds and so forth. And so he took the money that he got for the junk electric
He had amassed from the car.
and it was just enough to take his wife to Tahiti for a week.
Okay.
And apparently she was long suffering through all this. And now here he had spent all their money and had spent all his time and had a car they wouldn't let take on the road. And he had to sell it for a loss.
Uh-oh.
His get well was to take her to Tahiti.
There you go.
Apparently it worked. And they remain famously in love. In fact, he has since, he is truly an advocate of electric vehicles in the highest order. Perhaps not with a great resource, but
Still,
he loves electric cars. He has published a book and DVD set on how to convert your car to electric, Gav's way.
All right.
And we don't carry it. I guess I can't really the whole approach is not us.
Sure. Right. Right.
This is minimal cost components, minimal cost car, and it hadn't worked out very good.
It hasn't been working out. Huh?
So, $57, you can get the book and the DVD set. I think he's got a pro version for $79.
There you go.
And
right.
so he promotes that on his blog. Interestingly, he has moved from New Zealand, one end of the earth, to Bratislava, Slovakia.
Oh, geez.
The other end.
Yeah, that's the other end.
Which is where his wife is from.
Okay. All right.
And he'd love to start a new conversion, and he's picked the Russian, what is it, Skosian or something?
Oh, Skoda?
Skoda.
Probably a Skoda, yeah. Okay.
Which is, I understand it, the worst car ever built.
Yeah, I think they didn't export them because they did the Yugo. It was better.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but he wanted to convert that, and he inquired as to what the regulations were and got a multi-page document that is just bizarre.
Really?
Yeah. For example, you have to get in Slovakia to convert a car to electric. You have to do all kinds of engineering, submit all these drawings and schematics. You have to have a letter of permission from the original manufacturer of the car authorizing you to convert it to electric.
Oh, my God. Ask Skoda if you could convert their car.
Right. Which, of course, no manufacturer in their right mind would ever issue such a letter.
That's right.
But a bunch of other stuff. You have a year to complete the car once this process is completed, which no one's ever completed, so they don't know how long that takes.
How long would it take? That's right.
And then you have a year to do it, or you have to start over with a new application.
Oh, no.
And so it's just completely out of the question and practical to convert a car in Slovakia. Huge fines if you're caught with a car that was, converted
Without its papers.
without proper papers.
Without the papers.
And so Gav is not living the life in Slovakia.
No. Oh, jeez.
Gav, come to the U.S., the land of the not very free.
No, yeah, you can come to Missouri and just do whatever you want to your car.
All that stuff about torture and everything, it's much overwrought.
It's over, yeah, don't worry about it.
Only a handful of people ever waterboarded
Yeah,
here.
that's right. After a while, you just jump on the table anyway.
And we can do electric cars here.
That's right.
And so that was my blog piece, was whatever happened to Gav. And I actually included his first video where he towed the Mitsubishi
Towed
home.
the thing home, huh?
With the seized engines in my blog this week. So that's what's going on there. So to me, Gav Shoebridge is the father of video documenting of electric car builds.
Of the EV genre, huh?
And so I make no claim there. We do it a lot better than Gav did. But probably a lot better than those that come after us, too, as far as I'm concerned.
Tidied it up just a little bit, huh?
Do we have any news of electric vehicles from the blogosphere, the internetosphere?
Any rumors or anything we can just grab from the internet?
Rumors. Yeah, once it's confirmed, I really am not interested.
Yeah, exactly. We're not interested.
We're only interested, really, in rumors and gossip. Once it becomes confirmed fact, who cares?
It's just fact.
Right.
It's no more. It's not fun anymore.
That's
It's
right.
just not conjecture. It's fact.
We're out of the realm of what could be and into the realm
Yeah,
of
that's
what
right.
is.
Reality
That's right.
gets underway.
Yeah. We're not a reality show. We're a what-if show.
That's right. Well, let's see. How about this? What if the winner of Ward's Auto 2015 10 Best Engines of the Year was not an engine at all? On the 10 best list.
How would that be?
Well, they have not ever had anything other than a internal combustion engine of some sort on there. And this year, they have the BMW i3 electric motor as one of their top 10 best engines. They did include the 100 kilowatt fuel cell Hyundai, but we're more interested in the BMW. I mean, that's kind of cool.
That
I
is
think
kinda
that
cool.
and it is not an engine. It's a motor.
Well,
By golly.
the distinction has always been a little vague for me.
Yeah, that's right. Is it a motor? Or is
When
it
I was
an
a
engine?
kid, we called them motors.
Dakota motor. Oh yeah, you want a crate motor
And,
or
and
a big
it
block
was
motor.
a-
I know.
An engine, but I would never call an electric motor an electric engine.
No. Yeah.
So I don't
It doesn't work in both directions, I guess. Yeah.
It's a funny language.
It is. Yeah, the English. You know.
880,000 words, mostly just made up.
Yeah, that's right. Or stolen from other
Stolen
languages.
from other languages and mispronounced badly.
That's right. They can't even understand what we're saying.
Tagalog, for example, my first wife's language, about 40,000 words in the
Okay.
whole language.
Okay.
You have to do things with expressions and stuff.
All right.
But English, 880,000 words. The average, I guess, vocabulary.
Yeah.
Most of our college kids now is about 1,200 of them, but it's a rich language. By the way, I was telling you about the blog
Yes.
and our video. That was our 255th video.
Yes, I know. We always miss the milestones, like 5 years the next month, 250.
Right.
We do 255.
We had 250 videos, 5 videos.
Five videos ago, yes. Good for us. We should have balloons coming down on the set right now.
But, kind of a minimum of an hour and a maximum of 3 hours, most of them about 2.
Yeah.
That's got to be over 500 hours of video. I'm no longer hearing about people who took a week off and watched them all.
Right, watch them all. Exactly.
I don't think you can do
No.
that anymore.
No.
It's just too much video.
No, the pizza guys won't deliver enough pizzas to your mother's basement. It just won't happen. They figure you out. They find you.
What else you got, man?
Let's see. Well, we have been talking last couple of episodes about Car2Go.
Hard to go.
And they are celebrating, just like we are, our 255th video. 1 million members in Car2Go, making it the largest car sharing company in the world. So they have done some interesting things, but we were also talking about not one of their competitors, I guess, but what were you saying about one of the car sharing guys?
Uber?
Yes.
This is... I don't get it. I barely get Car2Go.
Yeah, I know.
Now, apparently you can sign up for this.
Oh, yeah, you get an app on your
And you
on
get
your
an
phone.
app. You can find a car that's been released.
Yes.
And you can get in and drive it for about $1 a minute, or $1.50 a minute.
Yeah, depending on where you are. Yeah.
And then,
One way.
And you don't. And when you get somewhere, I'm like, well, what if you get somewhere and then somebody takes the car and you come back and you can't get out? No, you can keep the car. You do pay for all the minutes, but you keep it until you release it.
Yes.
So if you park it somewhere and forget to release it, I think the meter gets to be pretty big, pretty quick.
Oops.
They say the average drive is 9 minutes, and it's like $1.50 a minute or something. So it's like a micro car rental thing.
Yeah.
And I don't quite get it, but okay. Then there's this thing called Uber.
Yeah, Uber and Lyft and the other. Yeah.
Uber
Yeah.
is a thing where you can register. It's, again, app-driven to be a taxi cab.
Yes. Yeah.
And people will contact you through the server and have you pick them up.
Yes.
And you charge them for the drive.
Yes. Yeah.
And they've had all kinds of problems. For example, the weather goes bad or it's late night and rainy, they just jack up the prices.
Yeah, you can put a surge on the price. Yeah.
And
Yep.
and that's to get more people to come out and drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, I mean, during Sandy Hook or whatever it was, it got to be like 10 times as much money, and people were quite incensed. And I said, I don't understand this. How can every city in the world is banning these things?
They're getting into some
and
legal
it's
issues.
very strange. They're banning them because, of course, they're not licensed taxi drivers, and taxi drivers are going crazy
Yeah.
over this thing. And then they usually back off the ban because this is like a social networking thing, and it causes a lot of pushback.
It does on
to
all the social
political,
media. Yeah.
officials.
Yes.
Who get tweeted half to death.
Yes, that's right.
and then they back off and they're going to make something. But I'm like, so how do you know who these people are that are out picking people up? So I sign up to pick people up tonight, and I'm looking for the next chick looking for a ride to add to my refrigerator collection, my backyard, memorial system,
Pit.
my pit in the basement.
That's right.
And
More lotion.
sure enough, they had a gal report that she was raped by one of the Uber drivers.
One of the drivers. Wow.
This is kind of like going public now. It's had a huge amount of investment capital. This is going to go bad quickly.
Yeah, like their value was like $40 billion or something crazy. It's amazing.
Very bizarre thing. This is quite beyond Bitcoin.
Yes.
This is strange.
Yes.
The car-to-go phenomenon is apparently real and very different. It does not share. You don't get a driver; you get the car, and I guess you have to clean out whatever poop the previous guy did.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the state of the cars is, but the apparently it's very popular because I had heard 900 and something thousand and. You're now reporting they have gone over 1 million.
They've gone over 1 million, yeah.
Let me segue us here to something that sort of talks about that I think is an interesting twist on the whole thing. Hello. I'm Jack Rickard, and Harvey, you got to have a black shirt and a black car if you want to be cool. I'm going to select exit on my Tesla Model S panel. That slides the seat back and raises the steering wheel in preparation for me to get out of the car, which I can do pretty well. The problem is getting in. Not sure what's going on with the door handles. This is a scratch-built electric car, and the problem with that is it lacks the Darwinian evolution to make things comfortable. And for me, it's a great car. I love it once I'm in it. The reason the wife gets to drive it, and understand, this has handles that extend for my comfort and magic seats that I can press a button and they change position just for me. But here's what I've got to do to get in. I have to sit down, my feet outboard, crank my head to the left, and pull it into the car. I grab the roof. Now I can turn my fat ass this way and pull my legs in. Of course, I have a little problem. I can't reach the door. So I have to put my head out again, reach the door. Now this is tricky. You don't want to close the door normally if the windows are up with your head out. So I have to pull it half to, put my head back in, and close the door. And then I select Jack, and that's better than Jill or exit. And now I'm in position to drive. It's, as I say, a fantastic vehicle. But by the time I get in it, I'm pretty much winded. To get back out, it's a little easier. But what a pain in the ass. That's a $107,000 car with sales tax, $115,000. And make no mistake, I think it's the best car that's ever built. But for me personally, at 295 pounds, I just don't need to go anywhere that bad. I'd rather stay home than go through all that. And so my wife, who's more like 140 pounds, will be delighted that I revealed that, I'm sure. She jumps in and out, no problems. And it works fine, and it'll probably work fine for you. Cars are kind of a personal thing. Let me show you something that's a little less expensive than the Tesla Model S. This is a 2013 Smart Electric Drive. We've been fascinated by these cars for several years. 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, right after completing the Mini Cooper, we bought a 2008 Smart car, a SmartforTwo Coupe, with the express intention of converting it. I got kind of, it was like a cursed project. I got off with a guy named Dennis or something from China who actually offered at no charge to build us wheel motors to go on the rear of the Smart. That all we would have to do is pull the wheels off, bolt these things on, bolt on a controller. We could pull the engine and the transmission, and we'd have an electric car. I've got a problem with wheel motors, but I bet, and that went on for 10 months or a year before, as it turns out, he really couldn't do that, in spite of claiming to be one of the largest motor manufacturers in China. I then encountered a group in Italy that had done a motor and a controller, actually the Curtis controller, kind of like HP EVS, but they did their own software, had their own motor. It was called EVE, and got hooked up with some guys who were then partners as that whole partnership came unraveled, Christian von Haslen in China. And he promised to upgrade my motor, and then along the way, they decided that they were doing a Smart Electric conversion and that he could do the whole back clip and send it to me for a few ducats more, of course. And I wound up with about $30,000 in the end sunk into this device that then the clip he got off of eBay or something actually was bent. And so my right rear wheel is actually splayed out to the right. It's kind of a wall-eyed Smart, but that's what we actually did the conversion of at the last DevCon. And it is electric and it does drive. This is a 2013 Smart ED. Now, why am I focused on the Smart and have been for several years, despite this amazingly bad luck dealing with people who have a better idea than I do how to do it from the beginning? The Smart is a very odd car. It started out as the brainchild of the Swatch watch company. And Smart stood for Swatch Mercedes, all-road design or some all-road transportation, some name they made up from that. Swatch and Mercedes very quickly fell out and wound up being a Mercedes product. They've spent $3.5 billion making this car and have sold not enough of them to worry with. So it just must be a bad car. Why do I keep flailing with it? Well, it isn't really. In fact, it's one of the oddest things I've ever seen. They sell very few of them, almost exclusively to people that have 3 or 4 of them. The people that like the Smart go nutty over the Smart. They really like the Smart. It's kind of, if you know about the Smart, you really like it. And everybody else thinks it's a terrible car. The reason they thought that was that, number one, it doesn't get very good economy. it was not that high a mileage a vehicle for its size. 32 miles per gallon in the gasoline version. The Mitsubishi motor was about 60,000 miles it shot. It just blows up. The transmission is actually kind of like a manual transmission. They put some actuators on to make it simulate being an automatic transmission. It could take a second and a half to shift. I think it was probably could carry the nomination as the worst drivetrain put in a vehicle in the last 60 years. However, if you take all that out and put in an electric motor, it's not too bad. We've just been through quite an evolution with the smart guys. I bought this car. It's a 2013 ED. It was already electric. Smart USA, whom you've heard me go back and forth with Mark Webster, the general manager of this, really the electric line, the Daimler, the Model B electric, and the Smart ED. The car had no battery. They sold 931 of these in the United States in 2013. This is the new model, not the one with the Tesla battery or the Tesla motor. It has, I think, a Bosch motor. It's supposed to be very efficient, and a battery made by Acculogics, which is a Daimler Mercedes partnership with a battery company in Germany. And they brought it out in 2013. They actually sold a couple thousand of them in Germany, but in the U.S., 931. Going back to the gasoline Smart, every year they'd announce they're going to sell 10,000 Smarts, and they'd sell 3,000. The Penske Group was going to represent it. It was a huge disappointment. Mercedes took it back from Penske. They spent $3.5 billion, never can get this car off the ground. The drivetrain was an atrocity, and it should have been an electric car, to my way of thinking, from the very beginning. So they're making some headway, and they're coming out with a new 2014 that should even be improved on this. I don't think the people at Mercedes know what they have. The reason people fall in love with it is the goofiest reasons in the world. It's small and nimble. The length of the vehicle will fit into the width, the DOT width, which I think is 86 inches of vehicles in the United States, is longer than the car is. And so you can actually park head in on a street, and the back end of the car won't extend past the side of the cars on either side of it. So it's very, but for humanoids, it has a very advanced design. This swoop here and the front form an egg structure made out of steel and aluminum that is essentially follows the theory of the MD-500C, or the it's originally a Hughes helicopter, which was shed all the blades and the gear and all that, and keep the pilot in an egg that can roll along the ground and work off the kinetic energy, shedding the external pieces and protect the pilot. And this car is very much that way. It has plastic pieces on the outside, but they're not real. They're just clamped on. And I was in Monaco a few years ago and saw 4 or 5 of these that had been all tricked out with third-party parts. And there's already wide-body kits and all kinds of things. You can get carbon fiber panels and so forth that you can get to dress this thing up. And anybody can unplug them and plug in the new piece. You don't have to have any body experience at all. It'll be news to Mr. Webster, and I'm going to share with him and with you the #1 feature of the Smart vehicle, and that is the door. as in 2/3 the length of the car is door. So you saw what I had to do to get out of the Tesla Model S. 296 pounds today. Not a problem. I can reach the door. Now, of course, this is a cabriolet, so I don't have to duck, but actually the coupe isn't much different. It's not hard to get in and out of. Better, inside, I have head and shoulder room that I'm actually accustomed to getting in a Cadillac Escalade. The seats are offset just a few inches, 4 or 5 inches, and it lets you and your passenger have kind of unlimited shoulder room. It's nothing to get in and out of. It's not any harder to get in and out of than a golf cart. And I think that's a huge play, certainly for me with regards to comfort. Daimler should immediately patent this offset seating and offer it to the airlines. We're constantly have no room in the airlines, and all I have to do is offset the seats. It's not even 4 inches, and it's enough where you both have plenty of shoulder room. It's the simplest, most elegant thing I've ever seen. And so you have plenty of head and shoulder room for a big fat guy. It's easy to get in and out of, and as an electric car, of course, it's very economical. Had they put a nice gasoline motor and transmission in it, it probably would have become a bigger cult car than it is. But they didn't, and so it's kind of the almost rare electric version that you have to go to. Interestingly enough, they've done so poorly in marketing this because they apparently don't know about the door. None of their advertising features that they are down in the electric version this month. They are actually offering exclusively to members of their Car2Go sharing program in San Diego a lease on the brand new ones that's $1,600 down and $75 a month. Now, of course, they have all kinds of, fine print in that. They can't play it straight. But one of the issues is that you're limited to 10,000 miles a year on that. But that's not actually an untoward limit for what's essentially an urban errand vehicle. It's a 2-seat car, but it has environmentals. Even in the cabriolet, this top goes up. I've got heat and air conditioning, and I'm comfortable. And it'll carry 2 people. All right, you have a family and a dog. I don't. And for many of us, 99% of our trips is with one person in it, me. Occasionally a wife. But that's fairly rare. Most of the time I'm running around by myself, and I'm not alone. And so this car fits the bill very nicely. As I said, it's a cult. I've run into some people who have Smarts, and they all have 3 of them. He's got one, she's got one, the kids have got one. They've kind of kept all their regular cars, but they're all buzzing around in these Smarts because they're inexpensive, and they like them kind of for the reasons I've given. Good environmentals. It's really kind of a Mercedes fit and finish. And it's in a small car, but 2/3 of the length of the car is door and window. And so even in a coupe, you have great visibility and great comfort in a very small, zippy little vehicle. If you have to be a member of Car2Go ride-sharing service in San Diego to get the $75 lease, but they're leasing them to anybody for $99. And better yet, they lease you the battery if you already own it. the whole conversation with Daimler over this car has been a puzzle. I don't think they realize I kind of am a promoter of their car. I like it. But it's been like everything I've done with it, with the Chinese guy with the wheel motor, with the German guy, with the other thing that took 2.5 years for him to produce it. And now with the battery-less ED, I call them up and, hey, I got a car, I don't have a battery. You rent batteries for $84 a month, sign me up. Oh, we only rent batteries to people that already have them. Oh, that makes sense. So if I had a battery, you'd rent it to me for $84 after I've already bought it. Well, yeah. Have you met Christian Van Hoslen and Dennis in China? Are you guys all in this together? What is it with the Smart? I thought this was a great little car since I saw Steve Martin in the Pink Panther. He and his friend were taking off in the Smart, and of course the bad guy of the film had been standing at the back, and he threw his scarf over his shoulder, and it wrapped around the bumper. So these two guys take off, and they're going down the road, and you get a shot right here. The guy is driving, and the driver turns to Steve and says, I beg your pardon? Steve says, I did not say anything. You did not say anything? No, I did not say anything. You did not say, for example, stop the car? For the love of God, man, stop the car? No, I did not. Well, turns out they were dragging the bad guy down the road by his scarf, so that's where the voice was coming from. But it was a very funny scene. So I like the Smart. I have, from our first one, we now have 3. We have a Coupe ED that I bought to do can sniffing. We have the batteryless ED, which I bought without a battery, and it's in the official 2013 colors, and then we have a 2008 451 we have converted to electric. And I still like the Smarts in spite of all the very strange conversations I've had. By the way, if you will recall, they wanted $30,000 for the battery. Then they agreed to give me the CAN codes. Then they allowed us how someone had called me to give me the word, which nobody had, that they couldn't give me the CAN codes, although they're not sure why. And then they had good news. The battery was $12,500. And then they had bad news. It was $12,500, but it did involve a $3,000, $3,500 cord charge because I don't have a battery, see. And then this week, they called and wanted a credit card, and were going to sell me the battery for $7,880, which is probably about the right price for that battery, and was all along. So it's been a very strange ride, but we're waiting on delivery of the battery. It's been paid for, and we'll see when it comes in what else we have to do to this what's technically a salvage Smart ED, but I think it looks very smart in green and white. And after all of that, I'm kind of a fan of the SmartforTwo and the SmartforTwo ED. So we'll be doing more about them. I just think it's a cute car and a very functional one for a certain use, which is urban errands, usually for one person with an occasional second rider. It's very economical. Stop and think about this San Diego deal. $75 a month for the car is less than you would save in gasoline. As we've said many times, going to an electric car is not a moneymaker on gasoline. But actually, in this case, it could be. And it is the lowest cost list price electric vehicle available in North America. quite a bit cheaper than the Leaf, and even cheaper than the Mitsubishi IMEV, which is not even really available here at this point. But they are making a few of these. As I said, they only sold 931 in 2013, and I don't think they're doing a lot better than that here in the U.S. in 2014. Ergo, essentially some giveaway lease prices. But by leasing, you don't care where the technology goes, you don't really care how long it lasts, and the lease price is less than you're spending on gasoline now. If you're going to the dry cleaners in the grocery store, this thing has a hatch in the back. It's fine to carry stuff. And for one person to buzz around, you're talking about a free car, essentially. And I think that it's another one of those little secrets. If people knew about this in the electric version, they'd want one. Because the electric drivetrain wipes out all of the known disadvantages of this car. Still not a freeway flyer. I wouldn't race it. There is a guy out there with a short block doing some interesting things on the drag strip, but it's not for me as a race car. And it's really, I don't even consider it really safe by virtue of mass, not by virtue of design, on the freeway. But for buzzing around in an urban area, even in an urban area with freeway-style interconnects, if you're not going city to city, this is probably okay. I think it'd be a winner. So that's why we continue to pursue this very strange tale of the Smart ED. Stay with us. So we are in the ongoing saga of Jack's little green smart car.
I know.
And what's EVTV going to do about the smart build ever?
Push it around some more?
Push
We
it
just keep
around
pushing
some
it around the shop.
We're down to $7,880 on the battery. I've given them a credit card number. They tell me 4 days. And so we're looking for it to go lower before we actually
That's before we get it. That's right. Then we made a mistake. There's a refund.
The $30,000 battery for the $28,895 car. This has been...
It's amazing.
I've been uneasy with the story all along for fear that people would think I was making this shit up.
I know. It is
But
bizarre.
you can't.
No.
It's just that your mind doesn't jump that quickly.
We can't write this stuff.
You can't write this stuff as fiction. It's just bizarre. But I did want to call your attention to a couple of things. I am not really sucking up to Mark Webster. He's been such a strange guy to talk to. But I like this smart car. It is kind of the lowest cost real car. The IMEV, I never really did warm up to it being a car. It's kind of like a Twizy, you know?
Yeah.
But the Smart is a car. It has environmentals, pretty good ones. I mean, they're not great, but they're pretty good. You got your stereo, your air conditioner, your heater. The drivetrain is cured when you go to electric.
Yeah, that fixes it all.
It's not even as peppy as our VW things, really.
No.
It's not but for basic roll-around urban transportation, it's not a neighborhood electric vehicle limited to 35 or anything like that.
No.
And it's very comfortable to put on and wear. More comfortable than the Tesla for me.
From what you saw.
But what are we talking about here? $75 lease.
It's amazing.
Per month, $1,600 down. If you're a car to go, and I don't think it costs anything to sign up for car to go.
No, I signed up actually just to see what would happen. Got the app, signed up, no big
You
deal.
gotta be a member. If you're in San Diego, you can lease a brand new, not one coming off a car to go.
Right.
A new Smart ED for $75 a month.
That's amazing.
Now, criminy, who doesn't spend that on gas?
Right.
I mean, this is...
You should just get one just to have it.
You should just get one to have one around in case you decide you might like an electric car later.
Yeah, right. Well, like we always said, if you can convert some of your driving from gas to electric, we win.
Yeah, this is, and I think they're still struggling. They don't know how to talk about their car.
Okay.
They don't know how to market it, and it's not that bad a car. It's actually a pretty good
Car. Yeah, everybody probably would have thought we're smart haters over here.
That's not. We're up to 3 smarts now.
Yeah, that's right. We're the average smart owner now.
Yeah, we're the average smart. No, I keyed on this earlier on. I was like talking to guys that are like, "You really drive that thing?" Oh, I'm on my 3rd one. Well, what happened? Did you blow up the first 2? No, I still got them.
So good.
My daughter drives one. My wife drives one. We just love them. Well, when I was a little kid, VW was not always a big deal in the States. In the early 60s, that was a rare car. It was a weird car. It was too little. It was too slow. It made too much noise.
Yeah.
It was
Dripped oil, smelled.
There was nothing about a VW anybody would want, except by the time I graduated high school,
Yeah.
they were everywhere.
Yeah.
73, it just, everybody had a bug.
Yeah, in California, I mean, they were all over the place too.
And
I love 'em.
the smart thing is kind of like that. It's like one of those little weird Volkswagens in 1962.
Yeah, have a little cult following. Yeah.
It had a little cult following, and then the next thing you know, it just kept growing. So, but this lease program is very nice. Now, of course, they will also rent you a battery, but you have to own the damn thing.
That's right. You have to own the battery.
So I'm not too sure how that plays out with a lease. Do they lease you a car and then rent you the battery that you already own, but you didn't own it because you leased it?
I don't know.
Mark, you got to give some thought to that, how that works.
That could make your head hurt.
That could get to be very confusing at the closing time.
I know. So what do we do?
What do you do? But, it's not always the obvious thing.
Right.
I am not doing a countercharge here. The Tesla is, I think, the best car ever built.
And a lot of people would agree.
Of any kind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, it doesn't use the battery, I would. It doesn't do a lot of things, but the biggest thing is it doesn't do, it doesn't let me crawl into it. It's very hard to get into.
Strap it.
This is a mistake. I mean, they're trying to be so welcoming, the handle's open for you.
Right.
But I can't get in, and once I get in, I can't close the door. I got to get back out halfway to get to the door to pull it shut. Imagine if I put it shut and forgot to bring my head back in. Well, that could be a fatal error. And there I'd be on the side of the road, headless.
That's right.
And dead. And how are they going to explain this?
Talk about liability.
Talk about liability.
That's right.
Man kills himself with Tesla car doors.
That's right. Suicide by Tesla
Suicide.
door. Talk about suicide door.
Yeah, the suicide door.
Suicide door.
So that's the we continue. That's $7,880. It was $8,500 with sales tax, but
Yeah, not bad.
I can't really do a battery for that anyway.
No, not of that size. Just a little thing, and this kind of plays into the leasing and car prices and stuff. But we were TrueCar, CNBC picked this up. We're talking about that Americans are on the verge of buying. They're predicting about 1 million expensive vehicles, and they're saying that sales of cars over $50,000 are up over 30.8% year on year, the same period last year. The cars under $50,000 are up 4.1%. And these are luxury models and high-priced SUVs. They're talking about that, like the Yukon at $47,000, no one's buying it. They're buying the Denali at $65,000.
So not only is orange the new black, but 50 is the new 30?
50 is the new 30, exactly.
Huh. Who'd have thunk it?
Everybody, yeah, I'm starting to feel a little...
Everybody wants a car under $30,000, except they're buying cars over 50.
Over 50, yeah.
And again, some of that is just the savings in fuel and so forth helps partially pay for it or offset it. The other aspect that's got me charmed is West Texas Intermediate was $58.09 a barrel this
Isn't
morning.
that something, man?
And it's just going crazy. Nobody really knows why. I think it's part of a concerted effort, but really of OPEC, really of Saudi Arabia. They've just got too many people crowding in on their game. And I think they see an opportunity here to kind of suddenly and brutally take the wind out of the sails of the fracking guys and some of the new technologies that have been brought online.
Yeah.
Some of these offshore platforms, what they spent to put that out there, now puts them selling oil at a loss.
Yeah, right, at 56 bucks a barrel, yeah.
It could shut down a lot of projects. It could ruin Russia.
It could, yeah.
And so I'm not too sure that any of this is accidental.
A lot of girls going to have to go home from Montana, huh?
Yep. The Dakotas could become a wasteland, which they always were.
Oops.
But they could be again.
It could be again, that's right.
And,
Pack up your wagons.
Pack up your
head
wagons
back east.
and head back east. It's $58.09.
That's amazing.
There's gasoline going under $2 in some places, and Missouri is one of the cheapest gasoline states.
It is one of the cheapest, yeah. Yeah, I think I paid $2.30 something yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I just won't pay at all.
That's right. We're only converting some of our miles. Let's see, what else do we have? The French. Speaking of oil, this was kind of funny. Which I didn't realize. The French are going to build a nationwide EV charging network. So when we were talking about when Nikki went over to her French adventures and couldn't find a charging station.
Oh, no, she found lots of charging stations. In fact, she had a number
They
of
were
cards.
everywhere.
She was a member of Diners Club and
Every network.
all the networks. No, they were everywhere. Of course, Nissan dealers, and she had no end of charging stations to choose from. None of them would charge her car.
Oops.
Was the problem.
Uh-oh.
France.
So they're going to fix that.
Which brings a new meaning to socialism.
Yes, so what they're going to do, which I didn't realize, that 80% of the passenger vehicles in France are diesel. And I guess it's something you just never really think about. You know, what's the percentage of diesel?
Obviously, they need charging.
They need some charging. So what they're going to do is they're going to phase out those diesel cars, put a couple of cents, a couple of euros a gallon tax on them. And if you turn in a diesel car for an electric vehicle, they're going to give about a 10,000 euro subsidy for a kind of a car swap, I guess.
So, like our cash for junkers.
Kind of like the cash for clunkers kind of thing. But it was kind of interesting because the comments are usually fun. This time I didn't have to read very many. There were just a couple. One fellow said here, "Congrats to the French, the best socialist nation in Europe, doing things for the people." And another guy, and the French, and then the French wonder why their economy is in the crapper. So I guess that's it's just kind of funny. It just struck my fancy there.
The French are fearless in their approach to basically voting out all common sense regarding everything. In Paris now, in the city and down in town, the speed limit, I think, is 17 or 18 miles an hour.
They have curbed the speed limit drastically in Paris.
Like,
no more zipping around the Champs-Élysées. Huh?
No.
The bicycles in the Tour de France are going faster.
Yep. The bicycles will lap you now.
That's right.
If you're observing the law.
That's it. Oh, man.
And so, who knows? They might do something there.
Let's see. No, it's not too much of news there. Let's see. I think we got one here. So it was kind of curious. So the headline kind of got me, and this was funny. So it says, "Charging Station Blitz will target Tesla." I thought, who in the heck could that be?
Yeah, who the heck could that be?
It was BMW.
BMW.
So I guess they're selling some
That's
i3s.
interesting.
So they're after we had talked about Elon.
They were talking to Tesla about supercharging.
They were talking to Tesla, and then Elon had said some nice things, and then the head of BMW said some bad things about Elon, and he was just a PR-seeking hack and using BMW's credibility. And so I don't know. I guess they're maybe on the outs a little bit. But so what they're going to do is they are proposing in the future to be announced at the auto show in January, I think in Detroit. Their plans to overtake Tesla in the charging game. And last July they had announced a charging station, DC charger, using the SAE Combo 1 plug. And 24 kilowatts of whopping power. And somehow they're going to charge the battery of the i3 in 30 minutes. Is that
20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes. What do you think?
Brina, I struggle with these old school automotive executives. I used to say you could tell when they were lying because their lips were moving. But I don't even know that they know the difference anymore. They just are chanting nonsense clearly in a panic. And it doesn't have to be this hard, guys. It's not like the end of the automobile. It's just the end of the automobile as you know it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You got a whole new thing, new gig to get on. And so what do I think about an adult designer or executive with BMW that's going to charge an 18.8 kilowatt battery in 20 minutes using a 24 kilowatt charger?
Well, if you had a calculator, you could figure that one out.
Do you need a calculator? Maybe
Well,
that's the problem.
maybe they don't
We've
have a
had
good-
an ongoing thing here at
They lost their
EVTV.
iPhones.
We had a kid in here. He just really wanted to put us down on a piece of paper. He didn't really want to do any work, but he said he wanted to be an intern, and he was in an alternate energy management degree program here at Southeast.
Okay.
Both of our wives teach up there. We both go up and do guest appearances, or what do you call it when you go into the class?
We guest lecture.
Yes, we're
Guest listener, guest lecture, yes.
And so I told this kid, sure, what is alternate energy management? The description he gave me left me feeling that it was something to do with light bulb management.
Oh.
In industrial buildings.
Light bulb management, there you go.
Anyway, he came in, and I was playing with some 18650 batteries. This was somewhat prior to Yahoo's efforts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
early efforts, that's right.
and he said, so what are you making there? I said, well, I'm trying to make a battery blade out of a bunch of little camera batteries. He says, so how many cells will be in that? I said, there's going to be 6 rows of 9. He said, so how many is that? And I laughed. I said,
Yeah, you got like, oh, come on.
yeah.
You're just pulling my leg. You're just pulling.
I think I said, yeah, exactly. And he's like, no, wait a minute. How many cells is that? I said, I told you, son, it's 6 rows with 9 cells in each row. And I looked at him, and he looked at me and he said, so what's the total number? Why? What are you talking about? I thought he meant something else.
Yeah, exactly.
No, he didn't know what 6 by 9 was. I said, you got to be jacking me off. What is this?
6 by 9.
You're about to graduate from college. You don't know what 6 by 9 is? I'm not good at math.
Oh, that would be a...
I said, I always struggle with math. I had to take calculus semesters.
Take some remedial
plus
calculus.
differential equations. And I went through it all twice. I actually passed it the first time. I just didn't feel like I'd mastered it. So I went through it again. I still can't integrate. But
That's right. Damn, integrals are just killing me.
and so I just don't retain it, you know. I said, how do you feel about second grade arithmetic? And, so
Second time around.
So then we hired somebody else, or somebody came in and was working, and I told them this story. And their response was, so how many was it? And I thought they were playing along.
That's
with
right,
the
they're
joke.
waiting for the punchline.
They didn't know either.
Oh, no.
So this has gotten to be a test question at EVTV. If you come here and talk to us about doing anything, we always ask, what's 6 by 9?
Yes, yep. Remember that.
Well, I'm starting to see the problem.
Yeah, starting to see. I know, that's right.
It's wider spread than
we thought, I know.
24 kilowatts means 24 kilowatts in an hour.
In an hour, yeah. Yeah.
How much could you do in 30 minutes?
Oh, you could do about half of that.
2 rows of 12.
2 rows
How
of
many
12.
is
That's
that?
right. That's right. You could do about 24.
Or 3 rows of 8.
That's right. It'd still be the same.
So 8 kilowatts into an 18.8 kilowatt
Yeah.
battery wouldn't be fully charged.
No, not unless you were there over an hour. Oops.
I mean, this is coming. So I truly gave more credit to the extant automotive industry than they really are capable of absorbing.
Yeah.
I thought and said a year ago, right now, about November of a year ago, that the supercharger network, General Motors and BMW, I cited specifically, don't have a choice. They have to kiss the ring.
Right. Right. You did hear it here.
It's just within 6 months, mark my words, they're all going to come out, having been the first to also be on board with Elon and the supercharger.
And the supercharger,
network.
sure.
They can't. They can't do the math.
No, can't do the math. Let alone the plug.
Never mind the ugliest plug in the world.
I know. That's right.
This is 3-phase, 400 to 480 volts, 24 kilowatts. It's 24 kilowatts. To go into higher arithmetic,
Yeah.
the batteries on most of these cars are 350 to 400 volts, most of them 400 volts. 400 volts in 24 kilowatts is 60 amps.
Yeah.
I think we've got onboard charge. I've got an onboard charger that does 75
That can
in the
do-
Escalade.
Yeah. Yep.
It uses 240 AC.
Yeah.
It'll do 75
Do
amps.
75 amps. Yeah.
This is not a fast charger.
Not
I
at
don't know
all.
what it is. Then they have it priced at $6,548. I'd love to have one, even though it's weenie and stupid. But that's the BMW subsidized price for BMW centers and authorized partners.
Right.
Price does not include applicable taxes, shipping, or installation, and is subject to change without notice, and the pedestal is sold separately.
There you go. Pedestal sold separately.
I don't even know that this exists. This looks like the usual unobtainium. I bet on this with Nissan. I
Remember
signed
that,
up
yeah.
for the
You guys
program.
remember
I
that,
gave
yeah.
him all kinds of information. The guy said he'd get right back with me. We've never heard from him since.
That's just a way to get rid of them, yeah. Tell them yes.
This is unobtainium. It's nonsense. It does not exist. Who cares if it's IP54 enclosure if no such thing exists in the world anyway? I prefer IP67, but I don't care.
We'll take it,
because I'm
that's
not going to get the thing anyway.
No rain will fall on it.
It could be a goldfish bowl full of water already rusted out.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'm not going to get one anyway. They don't exist. And BMW assures us that we can charge at all of the ChargePoint SAE combo stations.
Yes.
How many are that?
Okay, it's difficult to verify this fact because I had to actually count them on a map on their website. But I came up with 22. And that might be a stretch.
And it might be proposed.
Yes, that's right. You can't tell.
This just drives me batshit.
It's amazing.
This has been the history of charging. I
Yes,
finally
that's right.
had a conversation with Kathleen, what's her name, with the wireless thing.
Oh, yeah. Down in Florida or, yes.
She and her
Evitran.
husband have
Yeah,
them.
Evitran or whatever it is down there, yeah.
Well, it hadn't worked out for them.
Oh, really?
Hadn't caught on. I said, we're still interested in it. I'd like to. It's like the thing's $2,400.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's a wireless thing. It plugs into the wall, of course, and you have a wall pedestal that kind of guides you as you drive in to the right spot over the pad.
Over the pad, okay.
That sits on the floor. Of course, you have a device mounted underneath your car,
Okay.
and then it'll just start charging.
That's cool.
It's not very practical. If you take, I did the math on this early on, just a 5 or 6% penalty. It's like you're being paid $20 an hour to plug in the cord.
Oh, okay.
If you do all the math, how
Just
much you
get out and
lose
just
by
plug it
going
in.
wireless, how hard it is to plug in the cord, you might as well.
Yeah, why bother, huh?
It's just interesting. It'll be
Sure.
kind of cool.
Yeah, right. It'd be cool to do. Yeah, absolutely.
And it'd be a cool thing for us to offer the kit to put on your car, and so
Exactly.
you can install this. And they said, well, they have to design them, for the Volt, and it's got to be mounted a certain way. I'm like, we can take care of all that. I'll do a little manual how they have to, have it. Our guys can mount it. They've got all kinds of ways of mounting all kinds of stuff. You wouldn't believe it.
Sure, they can build electric cars.
These are not Volt Leaf owners. They build the whole car.
That's right. They can make a
Mounting
car.
your charge pickup thing is not an issue. It's not a big deal. And she said she'd get right back to me, and she went away.
Said yes again.
Yeah. And so it's bizarre. Tesla is up to...
They're saying on their website today 140 supercharger stations. Probably more. They probably don't update their website every day.
As we reported last week, their scam is the ZEV credits for battery swap.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. They got the battery swap thing to do.
They're fast charge stations. They have a 10 kilowatt charger in the car. If you stack 10 of those on the curb beside the car, it's 100
It's
kilowatts.
100 kilowatts. Yeah, there you go.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they do have their own protocol. It's not anything anybody thought. There's some guys kind of hacking this thing apart. It's very ordinary CAN.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Controller area network. It's 33.33 kilobits, which is an odd speed.
That's kind of unusual, yeah.
More used for LIN, the sort of the Chevrolet one-wire network, but they're using that speed for CAN. It reports your VIN to the charge station, and then they go do a thing very much like a CHAdeMO exchange,
Okay.
and then it starts charging.
Starts charging. Okay.
And in the car, they close a couple contactors and route the current to the battery pack instead of AC current to the...
Oh, to the motor.
And it's over the same pins.
Okay. Okay.
This is not rocket science, actually. I mean, this isn't. So, but they've got 140 of them out there. They kind of maintain them. And so they show up on the screen of your Tesla Model S. And so it's kind of a head start. I would have thought that they would have found common cause, and General Motors and BMW could simply, for a fixed amount of money, maybe per unit sale royalty, just have electric.
Just do their standard.
Yeah. And by now that should have all happened. Instead, they're still talking about this standard, the SA combo standard that all of them, Daimler, BMW, Volkswagen, Chevrolet, Ford, all agreed on.
I know.
Doesn't charge the car now, and it's not deployed yet. And I don't mean doesn't charge a Tesla. It won't charge an 18 kilowatt pack, 18.8 kilowatt pack in a BMW i3.
No.
It'll take you an hour to charge that, not 20 minutes. It's not fast charge. As I say, I have a more powerful charger in the Escalade.
Right, the Escalade, sure.
We won't even sell them. They're not even isolated.
No, that's right.
It's a mess. And so I don't know what to think about this. We might as well segue right to it. I didn't think anybody would care about this but me. We got one of the Yazaki plugs.
Oh, of the plug. Yeah, the CHAdeMO plug,
CHAdeMO plug. And I immediately had somebody wanted to buy it.
Yes.
And we priced it at $3,600. I don't pay that. We mark it up and make a little bit on it.
That's right. Just to drag it around the shop.
But precious little, actually.
Yes, that's right.
I'm considering. And so it's on the website now. The guy decided, since I did have it, that he didn't need it.
Didn't need it. They just want to talk about it.
He needed it desperately because they just don't sell these to everybody.
Right.
But I talked him out of one. And so we've got one. It is too expensive, of course. But I came across Sumitomo and contacted them. Now, they will not sell the inlets to anyone except an OEM.
Really?
But they will sell the plug, and it's probably we can put that up for $1,000 cheaper.
Oh,
and so I thought we'd get kind of a weenie plug. No, it's an aluminum housing. This is their new model. It has a button on top and makes it easier to... This is a lot easier deal than the original CHAdeMO with a lever underneath and so on and so forth.
That's nice.
So I thought, well, what, I'm getting a weenie cable then? No, this thing is an Anaconda.
That's our Anaconda.
I have asked Brian to find out if he can get that special suit so this thing can swallow him whole.
Yeah, that's right.
To promote the ecology generally and anacondas specifically.
Yeah, eaten alive was disappointing.
Eaten alive.
Guy didn't get eaten alive.
He didn't. I didn't see it.
Yeah, he didn't get eaten alive.
He didn't really get
swallowed.
swallowed.
It irritated a bunch of people. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, there's some things an anaconda just won't
eat. They just won't eat, that's right.
Picky eaters.
I know. Troubled eaters, that's right.
But anyway, this is every bit as good a build and quality and fit and finish as the Yazaki, and it's nearly $1,000 cheaper.
That's amazing. Wow.
And so we'll have that in the store for anybody that wants it. I'm not sure why you would want it. I'm going to show later... we have a big construction box, job box is what we call them. I grew up, my dad was a masonry contractor, bricklayer, stonemason. It's a box you put on the job that's too heavy to steal.
Yeah, that's right. You can't steal it.
And you can,
don't put wheels on it.
But you usually stick some bolts through the bottom into some concrete, so it's just impossible to haul on.
Yeah, that's right.
And you can lock it, and you can leave your tools then on the job, and they won't get stolen, or that's the theory.
That's the theory anyway. Yeah.
And so it's a job box. I found one that was like 7 foot long, and of course we did not sell all the SE cells that are. We took a huge number from
We did.
Keegan, and I've got those marked down to 85 cents an amp hour now
Yes.
in the store. And we do know where they came from. It's not a secret, and they're not used or the life beaten out of them in a car sharing.
That's right. We know,
deal.
yeah, we know where they came from.
They're new cells. They're
Yeah.
just obsolete.
But they work great.
Oh, 2/3 of the cars we have here still run on them.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't tell the difference.
It's well, no, I think the CA series is better. I think the Cam
It's
series
stiffer,
is
yeah,
better
yeah.
yet. But 2/3 of the cars we have actually run on the SEs.
Right.
The Escalade runs on the old Thunder Skies.
Yes.
So, it's not, they don't work. And I've got them marked down to 85 cents. But I'm going to take that 7 foot long, 6 foot long job box, and we put that on wheels. And right now, Mike Pruitt is busy strapping me up 108 cells in one layer in that bottom of that box. And we'll put chargers in there, maintenance switches, DC to DC converter. Basically, it'd be an automotive energy pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then with a little bit of magic and a little bit of Arduino, I need that plug and cord to be a simulated or an actual CHAdeMO charge station. Now, we'll put a price on anything. I'd be very surprised if somebody wanted to buy one of these from me. It's,
Oh, yeah, with all the parts.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is going to be $30,000 or $40,000 worth of stuff
Yeah, it's everything with batteries and everything. Yeah,
in
exactly.
the end, but it'll give us a fast charge capability to proof our kit or CHAdeMO kit for the cars for the VW thing. And so we'll basically encode both ends of the CHAdeMO 1.0 spec
Right, we'll have it all. Yes.
into Arduino and charger and so forth.
Yeah.
And so that's why I need the cords. If any of you need the cords, we can get them for you.
Yeah, that's right.
But again, it's kind of like selling a charge station. That's not a product we're thinking you all are going to be avid for. Yeah, I'll make you one for $55,000, and we'll include our internet price match guarantee if you find out a higher price anywhere. But those SE cells will do 1,000 amps.
They will. Yeah.
And 108 of them will be able to do up to 500 volts. I'm pretty sure with the right switching electronics. And speaking of which, I've got kind of a controversial guy named Paul Zaguris, and Paul's wanting to do something. They had done a DC controller that was on eBay.
Okay.
And he kind of got off on the wrong foot, sold some of them. They blew up. He wouldn't back them. Kind of made a mess for himself.
Okay.
He's come to us and wanted to know what to do, and he wanted to do an AC inverter. And I sold him a motor, Siemens. Said, we'll make it work with that, and we'd be interested in it if you can do that. Well, it turns out they can't quite do that. They're just not good enough in the software and so forth. I put him on to, who's Damien Buddy in Germany. Anyway, he has open software.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Field-oriented control. AC inverter. It's not on Arduino. It's on another multi-controller, but same idea. Well, along the way, we have talked about doing basically the power electronics, the IGBTs and the caps and the cooling, and a board that you can plug an Arduino DUI into.
Okay.
And the board has all the gate drivers for the, you see guys playing around with inverters on the Arduino DUI in software now, but their knowledge of power electronics is somewhat limited.
Oh.
And so they keep blowing up IGBTs instead of struggling with the gate drivers and stuff. I said, just make a board with the gate drivers, the voltage and current sensors on it, all buffered, that then you plug in an Arduino DUI, and they can do their software and have, functional power switching electronics. And I still think it's the ultimate Arduino shield. I'm not sure that there's a market for a $3,000 Arduino shield, but if it would do 150 kilowatts, perhaps.
Might be. That's right.
So, but it would be an ideal thing for me to try to make a little charger with. Paulo's threatened to develop something for me that would do this. So we're going to get something going with this battery box. Now, we can charge the battery box by solar. We can charge it slowly from the 240 AC in here, just for the regular
Sure, we
charger.
do it right in the wall, yeah.
And so we're going to demonstrate that all this is actually fairly easy, not just possible. It ain't no thing,
right.
but it's apparently a thing. One of the things that make it a thing is the connectors.
Yes.
And we're going to shake that tree as hard as we can. We have them. We have the inlets. Now we have the plugs. What we don't have is to have them at any realistic price.
Right, at this point, yeah.
Both absurd. I think we're charging $900 for the inlet and $3,600 for the Yazaki plug.
Right.
And this will probably be $2,600 or $2,700. Similarly, I can get them. I'm not going to put a lot in them. We'll have one of each.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll mark them up a little bit and make 100 ducats on it or something. And if you guys want one, I'm not pushing them, but we are going to explore fast charging. But SAE combo doesn't make any more sense to me than it did to Elon and JB Straubel at the time they were looking at this. Why are you building a big, ugly plug? It's absolutely artless, but it hadn't got any ass in it either. It's not able to do the job you're talking about doing with the cars we have now. If you did picture a future with cars that went further.
Yes, imagine bigger battery packs.
That's not going to be because the motors got a lot better. It's not going to be because cars got a lot smaller. It's going to be because the batteries got bigger and still able to be in a car.
Right.
But the energy going into them is still going to be substantial. Why are you designing a charger that can't even do today's cars?
Yeah, that's not capable.
And the head of BMW apparently believes that a 24 kilowatt charger will charge an 18.8 kilowatt battery pack in 20 minutes.
In 20 minutes.
And what are you supposed to do with that?
Not much.
6 by 9. For those of you that's been following the conversation and want the inside gouge, I'm going to give it to you now. Write this down. 54.
There you go. Now our latest intern, and she is in what?
6th grade.
She knew.
Yes, she did. So I think it's a generation skipping thing.
Yeah, that's right. It might be.
There's like 2 generations that don't know this, and then now the kids do.
They do. Yeah.
And
they've heard.
So Miss Kate Lee, I asked her, and she just 54.
54.
What are you talking about? I know. I'm embarrassed too.
I know.
So that's fast charging. It continues to develop.
Yes.
In theory, in discussion, in press release, and an announcement. Only people do anything about it is Tesla.
Tesla, yeah.
Tesla this week, their numbers have come under fire. Nobody
Yes.
believes their numbers.
Yeah. Oh, I know. There's a firestorm out there.
There is. I've said for some time, there's kind of a low-hanging fruit phenomenon, but most of the car makers have grown through it. The Leaf and the Volt would come out with some immediate sales when they started, but then they get through what I call the low-hanging fruit, latent demand for an electric car, people that were sitting there waiting for this,
Right.
wanting it.
Yeah.
Well, Tesla had it too, and now they're through that. But most of them, subsequently, the Volt and the Leaf, not dramatically and not quickly, but have turned a corner after reaching a nadir, after selling the low-hanging fruit, and are now climbing slowly but fairly steadily
Yeah, they are.
toward higher numbers like 2,500 units a month. This is not Ford F-150 territory.
No, not at all.
But higher numbers. And so gradually the acculturation process is taking place. And you all are playing a key role in that, in advising and demonstrating for people that there are some serious advantages to magnetic drive for an automobile that go quite beyond saving a few ducats at the gasoline station.
Right.
And so be persistent. It's a matter of persistence over time. And that's, as we used to say at Boardwatch Magazine, if we can do the next issue 1.5% better than we did this one, and we continue that serially into the future, at some given number of issues, we win.
That's right. We're the only one standing. Yeah.
That's all it takes.
That's where we are.
We're having a ball right now. In other
All kinds of
things.
stuff going on.
We have a new team member, two of them really. Kerry Manning and Jim Hanna have joined us. Kerry Manning, if you recall, had bought a salvage Volt and took it apart. We included his video.
Yes, we did.
Jim Hanna now, I actually can't follow this. I think he has an operational Volt and an operational Leaf, and then has bought a salvage one of each.
Oh, gosh.
And he's working on the DC to DC converter, the charger, and then he's going to do the drivetrain.
Okay.
And so I'll be working with him. We intend to have a Leaf inverter and motor on a test bench in operation by summer of 2014. And so this is part of our program to dig OEM quality components out of the muck and the mire and clean them off and make them available to you in a ongoing and painfully torturous, but kind of fun mission to learn to use them and unlock their secrets. The concept being in the end that the $20,000 that it costs now, realistically, to do a quality build of a small to medium-sized car,
Okay.
the right way, not necessarily Gab's way, but the right way, is that number could be made to be 12,000 or perhaps 10 over the next 2 years if my knees don't fail in the meantime, or I get winded getting out of the
Getting in and
Tesla.
out of the car, that's right.
And and I have quite a team that I am actually at this point enormously proud of. That's truly international.
Yeah, they are.
Paulo is just a incredible resource in Lisbon, Portugal, at doing very clean and cunning designs of basically Arduino hardware, but shrunk down and optimized and specialized. And we have a number of cards in work. The JLD 505 should know really by this weekend.
Oh, good.
Whether that's the third iteration is viable, and we'll get that sent off to China for replication in a quantity 100.
Okay.
And have those available. And I think there's an enormous variety of things we can do with that. He's working on that at the moment, so he's been, and with Kelso, quite the hardware design guys. Of course, Ed Clausen has been part of that as well, and was the original JevQ designer, and is working on kind of a BMS module, a voltage measurement device that continues. Our software guys are pretty much down to me and Colin at this point doing most of the coding.
Yeah.
But the reverse engineering of the CAN is where the action is. And Jim Hanna is able to do, and Kerry Manning, captures from live cars, which gives us an indication of where to go with it. Mark Weisheimer, Byron Isambard, and Brian Cochain have kind of formed an upper Midwest Ohio,
they
Michigan.
have the Ohio.
What do they call it? CanCon?
Yeah, that's right. CanCon, that's right.
Type thing.
They started with LearCon, now they're the CanCon.
Yeah, LearCon, and now it's pretty much CanCon.
It is.
Maybe we'll just have a CanCon.
Yeah, we should have
separate
CanCon.
from EVCon.
Yes.
It's the CanCon.
Yeah, that's right.
Talk
Over
about
here.
controller area network things. But I mean, this is breaking. Mark decoded the volt. They call it an auxiliary power module. It puts out 175 amps, 12 volts off your high voltage
serious,
pack. It's a pretty serious DC to DC converter.
Yeah, that is.
It's a done thing. I got the connectors in for it this week. I still haven't got the high voltage connector, but I have the control connectors in, and we have the CAN decoded for making that, setting the voltage and the current and
That's cool.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
We've been working, and we didn't know we'd have to be working, the Lear charger, the 3.3 kilowatt charger on the Volt looks identical to the Lear charger that's in the Coda, but has a completely different scheme, including different wiring harness, but completely different controller area network message IDs and functional structure.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So we completely different. So we've been sent back to square one. Let's take a look at some of that that's going on. I've got some videos for you to look at.
All right.
The parts that I'm using, which you could use a couple of different choices here, but I'm using the EVTV JevQ. This will both do reading, and you can also do a whole lot of other stuff with this. Eventually this will be the computer for the car when I replace the components in the other car. I'm just supplying it with a little 12 volt battery here, and I have connected the CAN 1, or the CAN 0 in this case, to the CAN 0 in the JevQ. I've connected that to the EV CAN, which comes out to, where's this connector at? There it is right there. This is a standard OBD2 type connector, and all the pins come out. Make sure I can get one that has all the pins coming out. And I've connected to CAN high and CAN low, which is pin 13 and pin 12. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is power on the unit. So we'll just power it on here. And then we'll just close that up because that's running now. I don't need to be in there for anything else. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and connect it up to the laptop through the USB port. And that's up here. I'll just bring the computer down here so it's easier. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to open up a wonderful app that has built. It's called a GVRET-PC. This is a app that will connect to the JevQ, and this is a reverse engineering tool that allows us to view the CAN codes and log those, and also do some looking at stuff in here too. So we'll go ahead and connect to the dongle, which is what I've already connected to there. And then we're going to set the speed. This has 2 CAN buses built into it, so in this case, I'm only going to use CAN 0, and it's 500K is what we're going to set it at, and we're going to do a set speeds. Okay. At this point, now that our CAN bus is running at the correct speed, now we can go ahead and plug it into the car. So we're right here, there it is. So this little doodah here goes in down underneath. You can't really see down here, but it's pretty dark. This is one of the beauties of the Northwest, is that it gets dark around here pretty fast this time of year. Come on, find it. No, that's not it. Okay, so I've connected to the OBD2, which has the EV CAN coming out of it. We're going to enable frame view, and you're going to see that now we have frames flowing. The car is currently charging. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and clear the list and auto scroll those. And then what I'm going to do, since it's charging now on 240 and it's about halfway charged, I'm going to go ahead and start a continuous log, and I'm going to write that to a data file, and I'm going to call this 240 J1772, and then save that file. And we don't need a very long graph here, we just want to gather some data. So we'll grab a couple minutes here and then we'll stop the logging. Not sure if you can actually see that on there or not, but yeah, it's a little bit. So now at this point we'll go ahead and stop the logging. So this is the car turned off. Notice the car's off, but it's charging. We're about half charged right now. So what I want to do next is I'll start a new log, but I'm not, no, let's not do this yet. Let's cancel this. What I'm going to do is go ahead and unplug it. I'll start a new log and then plug it in, see what it looks like when we first activate it. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm coming around to the car here, and for now I'm just going to go ahead and unplug it. So the car's unplugged. It should pretty much come to a stop on the CAN bus. In other words, you'll notice it has stopped scrolling. So in this car it shuts down very quickly. So we'll clear this list. Notice there's no CAN messages coming in. The car's off and the charge cord's not connected. So what we'll do is we'll start a new log, and in this case let's go that's interesting. Why did it do that? What I'm going to do is click here and then backspace over this. Let's go 240 J1772 plug-in. Hi guys and folks at EVTV, this is Jim Hanna in Washington State. I purchased a salvage Nissan Leaf. It was a 2012, and I removed all the electrical components from it that I want to use, which is going to be the DC to DC converter, the inverter, and the charger. And so the first piece that we're learning about here is the DC to DC converter. That's the simplest of them, so we'll go ahead and tackle that first. I pretty much have all the components here. Over here, this is the inverter behind me, and you'll notice all the orange cabling there. That's basically all your high voltage wiring that came in the Leaf. So I'll be using most of that. Some of it I'll have to reconfigure, but you'll notice underneath here, by the way, I'm in the house because it's so nice and warm in here compared to outside where it's cold and rainy and wet, and my wife is so loving that she let me move this stuff in here rather than having a Christmas tree this year. So maybe I'll put a bow around this and some garland and make it all pretty and flashy lights. So what we've got here is down below I brought in the Nissan Leaf battery pack, and so this is 48 cells, excuse me, 48 modules. There's 2 cells per module. And so this makes a nominal 360 volt pack. Fully charged, it's about 400 volts is the maximum on that. And so there's 48 modules here. We have the emergency disconnect, which came with the car, and we use that as a safety disconnect. And down here, the black unit on the far right hand side there, that is a pre-charge relay circuit and the main relays. And so what that takes care of is that takes care of all of your main power switching and your pre-charge circuit. So up above here what we've got is we've got that 360 volts comes up through the connector from the pre-charge relay circuit down below. And it comes into the DC to DC converter. This is a DC to DC converter and also a junction box for all the different connections. On the DC to DC converter we have a 12 volt high current output here, and of course a ground that goes to your auxiliary battery. That's your 12 volt battery back there. And you'll notice I'm currently sitting at 12.7 volts there. So I'm a fully charged battery there. Now what I've got here is this is a little relay control for switches, so I can control all the relays down below, the bigger relays with little relays here. And basically we've got wiring that comes into the DC to DC converter. Really there's only 2 wires that are actually needed to activate it. Pin 3 goes to 12 volts. And also pin 1, which is this one right here, goes to our 8.5 hertz frequency, and its duty cycle is varied to control the voltage in this case. So what we'll do is, in order to test the load, we'll connect the battery the 12 volt auxiliary battery to an inverter, and that's this guy right here. This is an inverter, and this will be our load test. The inverter I'm running into a heater over here on the left. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and enable the system, and I'll show you a little bit about it. So down below here, I'll go ahead and connect up the emergency disconnect. Okay, so we're live now. And then I'll go ahead and turn on the pre-charge and let the pre-charge run for a second or two, fill up any capacitors, and then we go on to the main, and now we go off with the pre-charge. So now the mains are up. We're running on, we got 360 volts up here now to this guy. And so at this point I'll go ahead and turn on the DC-to-DC converter. And you'll notice here the voltmeter jumped up to 13.8. That's what I currently have it set at. You'll notice as I increase the duty cycle, the voltage goes down. And the minimum that it will output is 13.04, excuse me. And the maximum that it will output at about a 20% duty cycle is 15 volts. Okay, so we're going to leave it, you know, just under 14 volts here for this test. We'll do 13.8. There we go. So we got about 13.8. At this point we'll go ahead and connect up our inverter. This will give us a load. And have a 100 milliamp shunt over there, and so this is on the millivolt scale, so for every millivolt it's an amp. So we're currently doing about 4 amps into the battery. I have about 10 hertz on my frequency generator, and right now I'm about 50% duty cycle. Gives us pretty close to 14 volts. So you'll notice here on the kilowatt meter we have voltage. We have 120 volts now that the inverter is making for us. And at this point I'll go ahead and turn on the load. And this load will give us wattage on the kilowatt meter. This load will give us about 700 watts of load. And of course this is on the AC side. So on the DC side, what you'll notice here is I'm pushing about 74 amps right now, and that 74 amps is coming from the DC-to-DC converter. If we go back over here and take a look at the voltage from the battery, we're running 13.6 right now, and so all of that current is basically coming from the inverter at this point. It seems like 80 amps is about it. When I'm able to push it to about 100 amps, but it starts making noise in the DC-to-DC converter, and so I don't want to push it too far to you know, damage it. It starts making a little transformer noise in there, and I don't want to damage it. So I run it at 80 amps, 74 amps here, and it'll run that way for a long time. I didn't get really hardly any heat from it, even though it's water cooled. That's a pretty big thermal mass. So at this point I'm going to call this one done and move on to the next layer. We do have 2 other wires that come out of the DC-to-DC converter, and those are listed in the schematic here. I don't know if you can zoom in on it, go a little closer. You can see here pin 1, pin 10, pin 8, and pin 3 is our 12 volts enable. Pin 1 is our 8.5 hertz duty cycle, 20 to 80 to control your voltage. Pin 10 just goes to 5 volts, so it's telling the controller that it's enabled. And pin 8 is a temperature I believe it's a temperature probe. I'll look more into that later, but at this point we got it working, and I'm very excited. Second go around after burning up the first one, so very happy for that this one was successful. So when you're working with this stuff, make sure, check that fourth time. I checked 3 times and it obviously wasn't enough, because the fourth time I did notice that I had the polarity backwards on the high voltage battery pack, and that's what destroyed the first DC to DC converter. At any rate, I got another one from the wrecking yard, and we're back in business. So now that the DC to DC converter is working, the next thing that I want to work on is the charger. So that'll be the next step. We're kind of learning some of the CAN codes that are on there and decoding those with the help of Colin and Mark and those guys, Brian and Jack, of course. And thank you guys for all your help. Certainly appreciate it. At this point, have a good night, and we'll talk to you later.
Here today with a new project for this week. I have a very similar charger to one you've seen before. It's a Lear charger. This one is from a 2014 Volt. It came from the wrecking yard. I recently received it and have set it up to test with. And I had an interesting experience with this one, where I worked with a collaboration of other folks. Byron Isambard, Brian Cushane, Jim Hanna, and Kerry Manning. And Kerry and Jim have Chevrolet Volts. Jim took a CAN capture of his Chevrolet Volt while it was charging. And Jim's in the Northwest. I think he's in the state of Washington, maybe Seattle or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but he's somewhere in the Northwest. At any rate, he's not close to here, and it's not something he can just hand me. So he emailed the file. It was small. It was about 100K, I think, for that one. And he captured this using the CAN DUI. And I have a CAN DUI here, and I'm using it to play it back. And we're able to do that because Colin Kidder has updated his EVIC software, which is Generalized Vehicle Reverse Engineering tool that he has written. And it lets us do a lot of really cool stuff and easy stuff to suss out this data and find what it takes to make this work, and the minimum that it takes it to work. The minimum happens to be quite small. It's 2 messages, a total of 5 bytes of data that you've got to send to that charger to tell it what to do. And the charger is great. It has a 12-volt auxiliary output that puts out 13.5 volts. I think it provides up to 600 watts. It's a 3.3 kilowatt liquid cooled charger that will operate from either 120 volt input or a 240 volt input. I have this one set up on 240 volts AC input. I've got it going into a Better Place battery pack that at the moment is at, I've been charging just a little bit here tonight, 388.7 volts at the moment, and it charges at the full 3.3 kilowatts. The way I have this set up is I took Jim's data file and I used the EVIC software in a really interesting way. It will give you a list with check marks for each message address that it has available to send data from. So you can start the file sending, you can loop it so that it repeats itself over and over, you can just keep it going indefinitely, and you can watch the results. So you can watch if you have auxiliary 12 volts output like I did, you can watch if you're charging the high voltage battery pack like I did, and you can watch the rate at which these things are happening at. What kind of current are you actually putting out? So this file had maybe 12.5 messages in it. It was the capture from a charging car with all the other components in it, DC to DC converter, everything, you know, the whole 9 yards of a normal Chevrolet Volt. So with that capture, I'm wanting to take out the ones that I don't need. So I just hit the check mark while it's running and drop them out and watch the results. So when I lose the output to the aux 12 volts, and I also lost the charging at the same time because I discovered a little more information about that. But I knew what that one was. I knew that one had to stay in. when I was done, I had 2 messages. The 2 messages were charge and turn on the aux and do it at this voltage and that current and power level. So pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and you probably can't see this screen, but you can download the software. Colin has it up and available, and now I'm sending from the GV-RET, and the charging has gone to 7.43 amps. Now I've been charging for a good half hour tonight anyway, and it's outputting 7.43 amps DC into a battery pack that is currently 390.1 volts DC, 390.2 volts DC. It'll come up. This one will charge probably to about 401 volts or something like that. I haven't let it go to a finish because that's a liquid cooled charger, and I don't have the cooling system hooked up yet. I think it's 28 degrees out here or something in that range, and I really don't want to bust this thing apart with frozen water, and I haven't put antifreeze in the system yet. So that is the process that we're using. It is, I haven't spent that much time out here because it's too dang cold too, and I have got some great results. I got some great results because I had good data to work with, but here I am with a inexpensive wrecking yard charger that wasn't difficult to find at all. There's lots of them available. You can buy a brand new one from a GM dealer for not that much money. I mean, basically, I think we're talking about $1,100 or $1,300, something like. I'm not sure the exact price. This is significantly less than that, but nothing wrong with this one. It doesn't have any damage. There are some other ones that have shown up damaged, but that's another story. So Byron will probably give us a little bit of video about a damaged unit that came along. At any rate, that's the fairly simple process of doing it. If you're interested, pick up a CANDUI and start playing. It's a great little system. We've got some interesting software things put together. Colin's got GV-RET. Jack has got a program written. They're both in GitHub under the fellows' names. Colin is Colin 80, and I think Jack is Jack Rickard. Jack has the CAB 300 from LEM. He's got a routine set up in his GitHub for that. Trying to think what else there is. There's more. So take a look, see what you think, and enjoy. One more. We've got some more in progress, and we'll let you know as they go along.
We're going to go with the darker theme. This is kind of like the Marco Polo show. Kind of a gloomier set design. And a darker theme for these guys. Their video stuff is quite interesting.
It is.
And so but I was it was actually, I thought, quite artistic of Mark Weisheimer with the half-lit face.
He did.
In the 28-degree dark gloom of winter evening.
He's been watching Twilight or something, I bet.
Yeah, it's one of those
Mark,
vampire or zombie things, you know.
He's been watching some late-night TV.
Walking Dead or something.
Love you, Mark.
And no, it was
It's pretty good.
The audio was great.
Yes.
And I was actually kind of really captivated.
Yeah, he had the
that's
Mark,
a
he got
little
the gesturing
different
down.
look there, Mark.
Yeah.
And I got him to use
Stick with it.
VLC a little bit with the screen capture, and so I could blend that in, and so it wound up being good video. But of course, this is a different level of than Gav's world, quite. And for many of our viewers who are car guys, this is computer guys discover cars.
Right. Another stream into
Which
this.
you should have seen what happened when they discovered girls. now, at late midlife, they're discovering cars.
That's right.
See, it was all kind of taken up with computers in our early days. Yeah. And so Jim Hanna, Brian Cushing, Mark Weissman, non-trivial.
No, serious
These
stuff.
guys can work an oscilloscope and go right down to to the coulombs on this thing, and it's I have an oscilloscope probe, and I know how to use
That's
it. Don't
right.
mess with me.
That's right. Don't mess with me.
So
Cool.
you want to declare it a secret, huh?
Yeah.
Here's what I do with your secrets.
That's right.
And Mark started out in avionics when he was a kid and wound up working for Associated Press for 100 years.
Right.
Doing their satellite communications all over the world. This is just fun. This is a hobby.
Yeah, that's right.
He's just having a fun.
He's tired of going to the Olympics and disasters and things. That's right.
Brian Cochain does electromotives or
Locomotives. Yeah.
So it's the team, kind of a global team, is coming together. Some of this stuff is just empowered by Collins. Really, CAN library is where I trace it all to. That CAN Dewey library is, I can't explain it because most people don't even know what it does. So it doesn't carry press well.
That's right.
But it's the heart kernel of everything we're doing. And now he's got this Chevrolet and so on and so forth. We've got I've got a dual channel with the Ethernet connectors CAN card. I've got a card with a DB9 and a screw terminal with two different things. We've got the JevQ. We've got 3 or 4 devices that are we're simply not. The Kvasser that we started with, the Kvasser memorator I bought, was over $1,000.
It was.
It doesn't do any of this stuff.
No.
And their software sucked. I mean, it's so we in a year moved completely into a new realm, and what I'm finding is you have to actually run the stuff. If you get a clue what command to look at and how to wire it up, then it's a matter of changing stuff and watching, put meters on it. I was out there today. I worked out the code for setting the current. I can just set the current on the volt charger now for setting the termination voltage.
Okay.
Nice. You know, for switching it off and on, and it's just a matter of sitting there and poking and peeking it and putting a current meter on the outputs and a voltmeter on the stuff, and then poking it and seeing what changes.
Let's see what happens when you change it.
And it just starts to fall down. Man, I'm mostly done with the software.
Nice.
In an afternoon, but a lot of sneaking up on it, going in, pouring through CAN logs and trying different wiring things and getting it heated up, which Mark and Jim and those have worked on, you know, for several weeks.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I'm very energized by the team. I guess as Mark described it, I got left off, but I'm still kind of a key member. I'm paying for all that
That's
stuff.
right. Sending out parts.
And so I'm kind of pulling it all together. It was really Paulo's board design that we're sending him, and you know, from this one, I'm just trying to figure out what everybody needs, what they want, and, you know, what they want to do.
Yep.
And but it's gradually, the theme that's emerging is, you guys are going down, we're going to take you apart, we're going to figure out how you work, we're going to put you back together, and
That's
then
right.
You thought it was yours, it's actually ours. And wherever a tree grows in Brooklyn, that's the next automobile wreck, and we'll be there.
Picking up the pieces.
Picking up the pieces. And so I thought that was kind of cool. I have one last item. Did we do all the news? Hey, we got a car race this weekend.
Yeah, that's what we were just going to tell them. The Formula E is racing this weekend. Let's see, and this is in where the heck?
Uruguay?
Yeah, this is in Uruguay this weekend. Let's see, is that where they are? They're someplace. Anyway, watch them. You'll see it.
Yep.
You guys.
Easy to get.
Yeah, it's always fun.
This is a Siemens LOGO. They've been through several iterations of this. It's a fairly mature product. Jeff Southern tried to get me on board with this.
Yeah.
And he was right. And he even sent me some stuff for free. but his devices were more expensive. And would you believe that what put me off is they needed 24 volt.
Oh, yeah.
I
We
just
don't
didn't
have
want
that.
to put another DC to DC converter in the car. I've had such
I know.
difficulties with DC to
Yeah,
DC converters.
they're tough.
This will run off of 12 or 24 volts. What do they call them? A programmable something or other. But it's really a relay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
This is like a JLD 404 on steroids. It has 4 relays across the bottom. They can do 10 amps.
Oh.
240 volts AC or 12 volt DC or whatever you want. It has about 8 inputs across the top. They have different models that have different numbers of them. Half of them can be analog. Now their analog is like 0 to 10 volts.
Okay.
Half of them are digital. And then you have power, 12 or 24 volts to it. There's a little screen with a keypad. Here's the real thing, an Ethernet thing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
plug a PC in.
Yeah.
Get on a web site inside. And this is called the Siemens LOGO. LOGO is actually a programming language.
Oh. Okay.
It's been around a long time.
Okay.
Some people call it Chutes and Ladders or something.
Really?
It's another game show. They're almost kid programming languages. They're not really a language. They're a way to configure things with flow charts. You
Okay,
just have
sure.
boxes.
Okay.
They call them blocks. And different sizes of this will support different numbers of blocks. Like, I think this is 200 blocks or something.
Okay.
200 blocks for 8 inputs or 4
Yeah.
outputs. What are you talking about? Real-time clock in it, some things like that. But basically, you take a block and define an output based on an input or 2 inputs.
Okay.
If this pin
Yeah.
is 12 volts and it's between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have this analog voltage here, then connect to the next block and activate it.
Okay.
And the next block is, well, if we get that input from the previous
Sure.
block,
Okay.
and it's, and this relay's off,
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
then we're going to set this
Do
relay
something
on.
else. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And so it's, how you use the JLD 404. If you get to certain amp hours, you open a relay. If you get to certain voltage, you open a relay.
Yeah.
This is a more generalized version of that. It's a relay. It's 4 relays.
4 relays. Yeah.
And you can, but it doesn't have like temperature built in. You'd have to hook up a temperature probe and read it and so forth. But the block programming language is called LOGO, and it's a LOGO configured relay. And so I'm looking at this. We're probably going to add it to our online offering because there's times you just want to do a specific thing, and you have the idea of it. I think a lot of our viewers can understand
Kind of
this
put that
pretty
together.
quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And they know if this happens and this happens, they want this to happen.
Right.
But they don't want to do C++ or recode JevQ or something.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So here it is.
Yeah. There it is. Right.
And
Cool.
it's all kind of buffered and so forth. You could do a little resistor network and step down, some voltage or some monitor that your AC came on and disable your inverter or something with,
yeah.
with switching an output here. And so it's a generalized relay that there's a little bit of a learning curve, but not much. And it's actually probably easier than the diagrams I do of how to work those relays
How to work
on
the relays.
JLD 404. It's called the Siemens LOGO. I'm looking at another one. A MicroLogic is kind of a Chinese rip-off of this.
Okay. All right.
But you can extend these with modules to where you can send SMS text messages to it and have it do stuff. Have it send you SMS text messages on certain events. It tends to be RS-485. I'm not seeing CAN in this world very much.
Okay.
It's kind of its own thing. It's for industrial automation. And Jeff Southern actually teaches this for a living. A little bit more upscale version of it, and stuck on 24 volts.
Oh, yeah.
So he sent me like a couple $1,000.
Yeah, he had a box full of stuff.
It was here in a box. I never did really get to doing anything with it. And he was up, and I gave it back to him.
Oh, okay. I wonder what happened to the box.
It had a HMI and all
It did,
kinds of stuff. And so that was sort of a deal. And then we do have the, we should fish this thing out. Where's our Epic?
Let me go get that.
One final item I'm very pleased to receive. Otherwise,
Just now, it just showed up on
it
the
just
set.
showed up on the table here. The wider media, the other Gavin Shoebridge knockoffs,
Ah, okay.
have playfully referred to this as a PlayStation and then described nothing about it. This is actually kind of cool. This is an in-dash display, but it's more than that. Richard Rodriguez lives in San Diego and has a gorgeous baby blue 914 with 40,000 miles on it.
He does. I mean, he drives the pants off that thing.
Richard has been a source of inspiration to me and frustration at the same time. San Diego's an active EV area. He is a dentist, actually, and not a very technical person. But did a delightful build on his car and has joined a local EV group where they constantly berate him because he does not use a BMS. Now, this is comical. Some of these guys are electrical engineers and want to whip the creds on him, which dentists like credentials. They have to put them on the wall to even be legal to work on your mouth. So he's enamored of credentials like a EE degree or a software degree.
Yeah.
And they keep telling him that he is playing with fire because he will not install a battery management system on his car.
Yes.
He said they're going 3,000 miles and losing their entire packs.
Oh, no.
He's got 40,000 miles on his thing and has never had one touch it.
No.
And he doesn't. He says, but what do I say to him? I said, part, tell him to live free and die young.
That's right, not much.
What's your mission here? Why should you educate them? If they already know, and my apology is, if you already know every damn thing, you don't need anything from me.
That's right. I'm out of here. I got better things to do.
I'm out of here.
I got something else to do.
I got to wash my hair.
That's right. There's something to do.
Anyway, he worked with a gentleman named Brian Gallagher
Yes.
in Oceanside, and he has an AC50 system in his car. And Mr. Gallagher has pursued this, I think, to some success. And I would not call it a PlayStation. Typically, it's called a human-machine interface, or HMI.
HMI, sure.
But he doesn't call it that, thank goodness. He has a new term, the Electric Vehicle Interface Controller.
Yes.
An EVIC.
An EVIC.
And he has formed a company, Andromeda Systems, to manufacture and market these. And he signed us up for 2 of them real quick. And we're going to carry them and not just support them, but exploit them. And in fact, he has made allusion to a software development kit or a designer version of this where you can make changes, which may or may not even be necessary, but we're going to do that. This will ultimately be the in-dash display for the generalized electric vehicle control unit.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
But also the JLD 505 battery management system.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Which isn't going to balance anything, but Paul and my version of it. But he has it in 2 versions now, already coded up with wire harnesses, the design done, and so forth. And I think you'll find both somewhat interesting. The first is a non-touchscreen version, which is color-coded purple.
Yes, those two colors.
And that is because Richard Rodriguez had an HP EVS AC50
Yes.
motor. We do two in the Spider and an AC76 in the Gia.
Yes.
And we have been very enamored with our Siemens motors and our UQM motors, but I would say still a top seller here, and one we've supported for a number of years, is the High Performance Electric Vehicle
absolutely.
Systems
Yeah.
AC system. And we're a big fan of it. And we have people putting them in. This, it comes with a little cheesy screen and button that actually will provide quite a bit of information from the Curtis controller.
Now, yeah. it will.
RPM, pack voltage, current, power,
Temperature,
temperature,
yeah.
a lot of things you need to know. They have made that somewhat more palatable with a color display that reads the CAN messages
Yes.
out of the Curtis controller and converts it into gorgeous dials and things on
Yeah,
your
graphs and
dashboard
dials, all kinds of
where
cool
you
stuff.
can tell what's going on. The other version has a touchscreen. Again, it's a CAN-based display for the Orion BMS. We don't carry BMSs at EVTV. If we did, that would be the one we would.
Yeah. That's a good.
This some guys over here in Illinois, they've done a good job. If they would quit trying to balance those batteries, I might even get on board. But it's moderately priced, high quality stuff, and fairly accurate in measuring things.
Yeah.
They do a application or a data set that you can just upload into your Android Torque app, for example, and display their data on
Nice.
that. And this does not define our display of the JevQ. We're going to go toward Apple iPhone displays. We're going to go toward Android displays. But I don't really like being dependent on a phone in a car that keeps
Right.
changing each year. You kind of ought to have a dedicated display in the car.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And so this would be a panel mounted. This one is for the Orion BMS and it is a touchscreen. Their color, they have gauges and dials. Essentially, this is our version of the Tesla console.
Yeah, there you go.
In miniature. And I don't really, on most of the cars we convert, have a place for a 17-inch screen. But you might carve out something
Yeah,
for something
and this is
like
about
that.
5 by 7, I guess. Once it's mounted up, it's not bad.
And of course, you have a hole, and this peeks through, and the tabs that are mounted are behind, and all your connections, and displays useful information in a graphically comprehensible, understandable, and visually pleasing fashion. And so I'm pretty excited about this. It's again, I believe I think I'm holding my hands a CAN-based touchscreen gauge.
Yes, yeah,
And
I believe so.
So we can fairly easily, I can just take this Orion one and take our CAN messages and convert them, the data I want, into the Orion. There's only so many things you really need to know in an electric car.
Right,
They have to do
right.
with RPM, temperature, power, pack voltage,
Yeah,
and current.
voltage, current. That's it.
State of charge. I can calculate all that in our other devices, whatever CAN codes he wants. Do that.
Right.
Now this one will say Orion and this one says HPVS, so he's promised to work with us on a EVTV version or something, where he has a designer kit to do, you kind of pick various CAN gauges and so forth, and associate those with data formats and can message IDs, and you can do. This is trivial for us to get that working with JevQ
With the
or
JevQ.
JLD 505 or both. See, they're on the bus. I can have the JLD 505 send some of the data to this,
Sure.
and the JevQ send some other, and it's all part of God's plan.
That's right.
This doesn't know where it comes from. The CAN bus is stupid. This knows what IDs it's looking for. If I know that, I can provide them,
Right.
and we're done. It's good time, Charlie. And so he spent actually a couple of years. He came out to EVCon one year.
With
and,
with Richard.
I saw the display in Richards and asked about it and was told that it just wasn't ready yet. Well, apparently it's ready yet.
Yep, it's ready.
And I'm sure it'll endure some improvements, as all of you, as I know you do, have suggestions for how we really ought to do it. And I'm
If only.
I fear Mr. Gallagher may incur some of that too.
That's right.
But the what I'm seeing is very well thought out and very flexible, and I think I can work with either one of these as they sit right now, and the door is open for future customization, which for my CAN team, my global CAN team,
That's right, global CAN
is
team.
trivial. Actually, trivial.
Yeah.
This ain't no thing. CAN is almost not fun when they publish the codes.
When they published it, yeah, that's right.
This is the fun's gone when they tell you how.
We don't have to poke around and decode it anymore.
That's right. And so this will hardly be a software challenge, frankly. It's a matter of getting the time to hook up the wires is going to be the hard part.
Right, exactly. Plugging it in.
To a JevQ and JLD 505. I'm probably not going to bother till the 505's in, and we can do the whole thing.
Do it all at once, sure.
At once. Again, this one is a non-touch screen for the Curtis controller and the HP EVS, and I don't see any reason why we can't get these. That one could go in the store. I don't know that anybody wants the Orion one at this point.
All right.
I do.
Yeah,
But,
you need to play with, sure, absolutely.
But we can put this up and have these available in pretty short order, although we got some of the first ones. I guess well, they're right there in San Diego with the EV West guys, but it's hardly a PlayStation. This is it's something I've looked for a long time. A CAN display.
CAN display.
That does the stuff we want to do.
Yeah.
Instead of some goofy industrial things that don't have anything to do with electric vehicle. It's called an electric vehicle information controller.
Interface controller.
Interface controller. Implying you can actually use it to control things with this touchscreen. And that could be even more powerful. And so we'll see where that goes. But without even actually putting power to it, bravo, Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah.
And I think you've
Thanks,
got
Brian.
a marvelous product. We will feature it and seek to support and enhance and aid and abet on the EVIC product. And I know everybody thinks we're trying to develop products and stuff. No, I would rather he develop it, we sell it. I
that's
can't
right.
just chase
I
down
know,
all these
just
cables.
just
It's
make-
driving me
just-
crazy.
Made, I know.
I love the idea of send them to me, let me mark them up a little bit, and we'll sell them for you. It's,
Yeah, we'll show you how to use them on EVTV.
yeah.
We don't want to build
We
all
know
this
what
stuff.
they're used for.
That's right.
It's
We don't wanna
not for
build it.
PlayStations. It's actually has a use. This is a much needed addition to the arsenal available for DIY guys and to make better electric cars that are more attractive and more useful. And I think this is a big step along the way. And I'm delighted that I saw these guys with it in Richard's car. And
Right.
They kind of ran me off as it's not ready for
That's right,
prime
don't
time
look.
yet. We could tell you about it, but we'd have to kill you.
That's
Well,
right.
apparently now they can tell us about it.
That's right, and let us live.
And these things properly done, I got to tell you, this kind of a design thing, you don't know what goes into just the cables and pulling all the pieces together and then making it where it could be produced,
Right.
in a facile fashion, and then to do the promotional materials, the website. He's had a big row to hoe, and from what I'm seeing, done well.
Absolutely.
So congratulations, Mr. Gallagher.
Absolutely,
we'll be,
Brian.
very pleased to further that, and it's I think a powerful tool for electric cars going into the future. And this is where we're going. I don't know how some of you feel about it. I know in the auto world they were always kind of gun shy of computers and so forth. For the IT guys getting into cars, it's like, okay, I didn't understand about the adapter coupler thing. That wasn't working for me, but this part I got. I'm good to go with it.
That's right. Everybody's got their comfort zone. Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
And for a lot of our viewers, it's this. Really, I think one of the central problems with doing your own electric car is the mating of the motor to the transmission.
Mm-hmm.
I still, my cojones kind of crawl up into my stomach just thinking about that every time. And we've done it so many times; it always comes out, but I don't get it when
It's
you're
still
doing
a mystery. Huh?
it. You and
this
the big Pollock get together and
make stuff happen.
somehow I got to write a check, and then it works.
Just bolt it up.
You bolt it up. But this, I kind of understand, and that's where I think a lot of our viewers are, is convinced me it would really work when I got done, and they're talking about the mechanical connection
Right, exactly.
through the clutch and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a way to make all that go away? I already want it to go away.
That's right.
That's what cars have.
Yeah.
And again, you can do direct drive or single gear. All you need is twice as big a motor.
Precisely. Yeah. Yep.
Maybe less is more. I don't know what I can get that's small enough for that Nash Metropolitan.
I think might be able to get something fairly small.
Well, if it's not pretty small, I'll probably wind up with that transmission in my lap.
That's right,
And
it
like I
won't
said,
fit.
I don't understand how they work.
It won't fit.
I have it all wrapped up in a ball sitting next to me in the car.
Yeah, we have a little transmission that expects a little bit of power.
Right.
Applied gently. Yes, exactly.
And so there you go. So anyway, I'm on fire with some of these little goodies and toys. We're getting more of them every week, and I'm having a ball with it.
He is.
How about you?
I am too. He's having fun.
I just I'm a little paralyzed. I don't know what to work on next.
I know. And it's going to be Christmas soon.
And some of it, it's like, as you saw with Mark and so forth, some of these things, with Jim Hanna, you've got, so here's a heater
Yeah.
and an inverter and all this stuff hooked up just to put a load on it so
know.
you can measure it,
Yeah.
what it really puts out.
What it puts out, absolutely.
And you got to do the cooling with the glycol and stuff. So some of this, it takes all kinds of stuff to hook it up to test it. The testing of it's easy.
Right. It's the hooking of stuff.
It's the hooking up of stuff.
Yeah, that's
Jesse
right.
didn't come in today, and his cooling thing that he had on the Coda charger is on there so tight I can't get it off to put it on the Volt charger. And I was cooking this morning. I had this, I'm just like writing this down as fast as I can discover it. And I just got the charger so hot that it started cycling out.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have cooling hooked up to it.
Cooling hooked up, yeah.
So you get beat by the mundane
Right.
stuff, the hookup of it. But as Jim Hanna had, he had a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Just turn on the heat and dump electricity so you can see how much current it'll produce.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't test it, you don't know, because it's a state secret at Nissan, Smart,
Yeah, that's right.
Chevy. It's the crown jewels.
Yeah, God forbid, huh?
God forbid they let leak. A
CAN code.
A spec sheet or a CAN code on their DC to DC converter.
Yes.
It's proprietary.
Must be.
Very high tech.
The Russians want it.
They bought it in Thailand.
That's right.
What are you talking about?
That's right.
Made in Mexico.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
They don't even get good Chinese stuff.
That's right. Yeah, they don't get good Chinese.
So I guess we've ranted on long enough, but I hope that's some information that they can use.
Okay.
I kind of had a staff failure today. Everybody wanted Friday off, and so some interesting work on the battery boxes of the green thing, and are we being beat with all that installation?
I know.
Now we're having trouble finding places for all the batteries again.
We've got,
which
what,
is why
12
we
batteries?
Went to the, yes,
Yeah.
we gotta come up with a place for
12 batteries.
cells. It's not one thing; it's another.
No, that's 1/16 of an inch times 20 something. It amounts to something.
You know, if you get beat by a 32nd of an inch for a long enough times, pretty soon it's a foot.
I know. That's right.
Might as well be a mile. And,
Yes, we've been there.
So that's our little thing to wear. But so that's the show for this week. We're going to try to do this again next week by design and by schedule. And we've completed 256 of these with this one.
There we go.
And over 500 hours of video on our way to 1 million.
There we go. All right. Like I said, we just had balloons and confetti.
Balloons, confetti, and balloon animals.
That's it.
And always discount the creepiness of the cloud.
That's right. That's right. All right. See you next week.